Yeah, I wanted to read you this comment from a person, Fritz Art Springmeyer. I don't know the guy, so I just want to read what he has to say. False prophecies about a fake planet. There is no basis in the 3D factual world to believe that a so-called planet Nibiru will hit the Earth. Because so many people are convinced that the end of the world is coming soon with a collision with a planet and are living in fear, I'm taking time from my overloaded schedule to set the record straight. Since the 1990 to 1991 period, when I began to go public exposing the New World Order, people have been asking me about Nibiru. And even today I was asked. My answer has not changed in 25 years. This entire Nibiru story is a hoax that has no basis on reality. However, I also have noticed over the years that in spite of my explanations of realities, believers who think a collision will destroy the world continue to believe in it. Readers are welcome to their own opinions, and viewers are welcome to their own opinions. But this post and this video is not to tell anyone how to think, but it's an attempt to keep things real. The elite and what they know and are doing. People are using the mania of the New World Order and the elite to build underground shelters as basis, as proof they plan to survive a planetary collision. For instance, in the early 1990s, the elite, like the Rothschilds, in Napa Valley, had constructed underground shelters. They were building such underground structures long before the Nibiru story became popular. So there is no connection. Their shelters are not a response to the Nibiru story. In 1965, because I was a member of the enrichment class, fast learners pulled out of the classroom for accelerated courses, I was privileged to tour the underground base inside the iconic Diamond Head volcano, where the government of Hawaii was to go if need be. It's possible that some of these elite underground dwellings are like Diamond Head, a contingency for, and not a certainty of a big disaster. The 12th planet. Zecharia Sitchin, 1920 to 2010, an ex-Soviet, came out with a book, The 12th Planet, 1976. According to him, this planet had Anunnaki, Nephilim, on it, and supposedly visit us every 3,600 years. Supposedly they were 45 million years ahead of our development. Sitchin claimed that heat from radioactive decay and a thick atmosphere kept Nibiru warm on its wild eccentric orbit. The orbit of this fake planet was the first thing I would challenge. People don't realize that an object that spends 99% of its time farther out than the dwarf planet Pluto is operating in zero temperature. There is no heat. It is a frozen solid environment. Then this planet is going to swing near the sun and roast. Such temperature extremes exclude life, going from absolute cold to extreme boiling heat. There you go. Such temperature extremes exclude life, going from absolute cold to extreme boiling heat. I also highly question Sitchin's translations of Sumerian, and have since seen my skepticism validated by true linguists, who say he quoted things out of context and mistranslated a lot. But many people read his books and believed, and the Coast to Coast radio show had him on many times. Back then, people were trying to get me on Coast to Coast, and Art Bell was not interested. There was no proof of what Sitchin said except his purported translations of ancient Sumerian texts. Nancy Lieder and the Zetas. The next notable person to promote Nibiru was a woman, Nancy Lieder, who said she had been abducted by the Zetas and implanted so they could send her thoughts. Supposedly the Zetas wanted to warn us of Nibiru. My research in the early 90s convinced me all the abductees I was meeting were programmed multiples. And whatever these aliens were, especially the Zetas, they could not be trusted. I was interviewing abductees who had been traumatized and mind-controlled. So the idea that the Zetas are going to give us life-saving prophecies is silly. Indeed, in the event, the info they gave her was bogus. She said the end of the world was May 27, 2003. She encouraged people to kill their pets, and for whatever reason, she killed her dog. Wow. She killed her dog. Nancy Lieder killed her dog and encouraged people to kill their pets. Wow. Well, if that doesn't make you stop believing in Nibiru, I don't know what will. She has had to revise her story several times. The bandwagon. Over the years, many others have bought the Nibiru, aka Planet X, scare. They have come forward with bits and pieces of things they think prove it. Think. There's that word think again. Okay? Think. For instance, because some astronomers have used the term Planet X, they mistakenly think that validates this Nibiru scare. Boy, they think a lot, don't they? Well, I think a lot, too, doesn't mean I know everything. Anyways. Excuse me. Some astronomers who have theorized an unseen planet, and some are postulating that some small planets were beyond Pluto, which proved to be the case, would use the term Planet X. But that does not mean they were using it in the context of Nibiru. They were just theorizing that something was beyond Pluto that was not named. UB313 was then seen and later called Eris, E-R-I-S. And this again was mistakenly taken as proof of Nibiru, when it was simply a dwarf planet with nothing to do with the Nibiru idea. I recently saw a man who was claiming that someone unknown in the military told someone else unknown, who told someone else unknown, who told him that the military is briefing dependents that Nibiru is going to hit the Earth. The man who is reporting all this hearsay as fact says that military typically does not give such briefings unless it's going to happen in 4 months. So we are presented with this hearsay that will keep people scared for the next several months at least. We're going on years now. However, again, if the military is truly briefing the millions of dependents, we would not have to rely on hearsay. There would be some awake patriot-caring dependent who would come forward and report what she or he had been warned. Yesterday, a news story reported scientists from the University of Cambridge and Complutense University of Madrid claim they have found evidence that 2 additional planets could be lurking in our solar system beyond Pluto. The scientists analyzed objects beyond Neptune called Extreme Trans-Neptunian Object. Now let's ask Cortana. Trans-Neptunian objects. Okay, so let's see. Ask Cortana what that means. Over here. A trans-Neptunian object, TNO, is a minor planet in the solar system that orbits the Sun at a greater average distance semi-major axis than Neptune, 30 astronomical units, 12 minor planets with a semi-major axis greater than 150 AU and a perihelion greater than 30 AU are known, which are called extreme trans-Neptunian objects, ETNOs, which normally should be flying around randomly in space, but in this case some show unusual symmetry. My comments are that dwarf planets beyond Pluto continue to be discovered, but this is no proof of Nibiru. Unfortunately, the writer of the article concludes with speculation. These potential worlds should be bigger than Earth and may give way to evidence of the existence of Planet X. If we look at the reports, they don't say they discovered planets, only that evidence suggests planets. They make no claim to their size, only that their theorized trajectories appear to have symmetry, which has nothing to do with the weird elliptical orbit that is claimed for Nibiru. Misidentifications. Both Comet Elenin and Ison were identified by Nibiru believers as being Nibiru on its way. Both comets, in fact, disintegrated and never came remotely close to threatening this planet. Supposedly, an infrared picture was taken of Nibiru. There is no infrared picture. Okay, I'm running out of time. I've been around the community of people who rejects the system's controlled media for decades. Unfortunately, some of the same people who are skeptical, with good reason, of the controlled media seem to abandon skeptic with the alternative media. There needs to be a balance in our approach. We need to try to step up. We need to try step by step to nail things down to reality. I know some of my own conclusions on various subjects seem far out, but if one had seen the step-by-step vetting processes, then my conclusions seem legitimate. Obviously, many things are beyond absolute proof. Okay. Hollywood is unfortunately where many people go to discover truth. So the Scooby-Doo cartoon on Nibiru and the movie 2012 are taken as proof of dangers of a collision. You can thank Hollywood. Alright. Okay. I have seen that some people operate on the notion that if they see it, even in a movie, it has basis on reality. Seeing is believing. In today's climate of mass mind control, what we see is often simply fake and is designed to manipulate our thinking. My take on things is that there is no threat in the next few years of a planetary collision. I have seen people who act sincere on the Awake Patriot community, who have hesitations to spread baloney. God knows their motivations. As I said, people will believe what they want, and that is their choice. I dislike seeing these kind of fear campaigns terrorize people, and remind Christians of the word, that the Word of God repeatedly tells us to have courage and to not be fearful. May the Spirit of truth be our companion.